This is Harry Judd for Boxing Social in association with Betfred here in Manchester. The Joyce Parker Open workout is just finished. I'm delighted to be joined by Adam Morallee. First of all, how are we?
Yeah, good, Harry. How are you, mate?
Well, not too bad, not too bad. This is a massive, blockbuster, old-fashioned heavyweight fight.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be, when you get to the top end of the heavyweight division, these fights rarely get made because people want to avoid each other. They're in mandatory positions. They don't see the need to take a fight. But this is 1v2 in the WBO. Like you say, an old-fashioned, big, heavyweight bust-up for Saturday night.
He didn't need to take this fight. He's ranked number one in that in mandatory position. What was the theory behind taking this?
I mean, initially, just want big fights for Joe. He's 37 years old. He's got to get to the top of the division. And how do you do that? You take on names. You take on people that other people know. I wanted the Dillian Whyte fight. Want this fight. We wanted to fight Tyson Fury. Of course he'd want to fight those people, but we wanted a big name. And we think he needs that big name to push on. Secondly, now he's got the WBO interim title on the line. His mandatory position is somewhat protected because I was always concerned actually with Lawrence Okoli at cruiserweight as the champion. If he comes up, the WBO rules are that person becomes number one straight away. So becoming the interim means Joe will definitely get that mandatory shot next or get elevated to the full title.
In terms of this show, it's obviously boxer and obviously BT. How hard or how easy was it? We obviously know the stuff at Hammer before, but what was it like to put this fight together?
Incredibly difficult. I mean, at the start, Joseph Parker was going to sign with Queensberry, and it was an in-house fight. And until, start of June, I thought that was happening, and I was told every day it was happening, and I told Joe it was happening. And then we got someone doesn't text you back, and then eventually you find out they don't want you anymore. We got that, no thanks, mate, I'm signed with Sky, which is a bit devastating. And then someone brought everyone together, actually. Someone brought the Warrens and Boxer together.
Was it you?
It wasn't me. It was not me. Someone brought them together. Although I do work with both of them. I've got a lot of respect for Ben and obviously Frank and George. Someone brought them together. And they started working at it. And I think Boxer realised that this was the best fight out there for Joseph Parker. Went through it all, got the rematch. The rematch is on Sky if it happens. Hopefully it doesn't happen. And there was enough for everyone. So people went into that deal and realised, Queensberry were not happy with Parker because he'd led them down a certain path. But there was enough in it for everyone for the deal to happen, and I love deals like that.
In terms of the rematch clause, what's your theory behind it? Obviously, if Joseph Parker wins, there's a rematch taking place, but if Joe Joyce wins, there's no rematch. So what was the theory behind that?
We're the number one spot. We don't have to take the fight. So any good manager in this position will get a rematch clause because it's an insurance. I was talking today to David Higgins, and he was claiming it was a sign of weakness. People were saying it's a sign of weakness. It's not a sign of weakness. It's an insurance. It's a good practice thing. Joe Joyce won't need it.
In terms of this fight, it is on BT Sport box office. There's been a lot of comments around that. What do you take from the criticism of this fight being on box office?
Look, I haven't seen a pay-per-view announced outside of AJ Usyk or Fury fighting Wilder where people don't get stick for pay-per-view. Everyone's always going to say, what's this pay-per-view for? Why shouldn't this be pay-per-view? WBO 1 v WBO 2, a heavyweight fight. People want to watch it. People want to watch this fight. The general public, the casuals who we need to tune in for pay-per-views to be successful, want to see two big heavyweights going at it. You could say, Canelo Triple G. Well, that should be pay-per-view. But was that a particularly exciting fight? No, two mega names. This fight will be more exciting than that fight.
In terms of Joe Joyce, a lot of criticism from a lot of people in terms of his style and in terms of having that similar style. He takes a lot of punishment to give a lot of. Can he do the same in this fight?
I think the disrespect Joe Joyce gets is incredible. He's fought 14 times. It's his 15th fight. No British heavyweight has had the record he's had in their first 14 fights. He's fought ex-world champions, fought Daniel Dubois, and still gets disrespected. He's slow, he's punching underwater, he's rubbish. We stick that stuff up on the wall and it inspires Joe. And can he take loads of punishment in this fight? No, he's against an elite heavyweight. Joseph Parker is elite. And he has to be absolutely switched on and at the top of his A game to win this. And he will be.
In terms of this, if he is successful, you'd say when he is successful, the fight with Usyk, Usyk's not fighting until 2023. What happens to Joe then? Does he take an interim fight before then? What happens then?
I think Joe wants activity, and so Joe fought against Hammer. He had a year out. Back against Hammer, he wants activity. For me, he takes this fight on. I like to wait and see what happens. The mandatory's due end of March. I like to wait and see what happens. But Joe's already talking to me about fighting again. And if he has a spectacular performance here, people will want to see him out again. You know, the heavyweight division is about big fights sometimes. It's not necessarily about rankings and world titles. So I want big names for Joe.
In terms of the title holder, Usyk, talks about him fighting Wilder. Just your thoughts on that one, mate?
I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, I don't see how it happens. Wilder's not even ranked with the WBO, and I don't think Usyk could get that away as a voluntary when there's a WBO interim, and they're talking about undisputed. So I think Usyk's brought in Wilder because Fury's brought in AJ. It's a bit of tit for tat. I think we're going to see Fury-Usyk happen. I hope AJ Fury happens, but my guess is Fury-Usyk is probably the next fight for Usyk.
Following on from that, are you doubtful then that the Joshua Fury will be made? I think everyone's a bit pessimistic because we don't want to be let down. I get that. I'm similar as well, but do you see that fight happening?
I think the issue is if the two parties both want it to happen, what we're seeing playing out now would be what's happening. If one of the parties didn't want it to happen, what we're seeing playing out now would be happening also. So we don't know what's happening behind the scenes. We don't know if AJ or Fury actually doesn't want this fight to happen. You'll only be able to tell by the length of time it takes to get a contract done, what nasties are in the contract. Look, everyone here talking today, it is only 10 weeks until the fight. I'd love to see it happen. What a brilliant all-British fight to happen in Britain. So I'm still being positive. I really hope it happens.
Surely we need an announcement soon because it's getting closer and closer. When's the deadline that you think that this fight should be made?
This fight is so big that you could announce it on 6 weeks' notice.
It sells itself, essentially.
It's a huge fight. You don't need to do big world tours or anything like that. AJ v Fury, I don't think there's anything bigger.
In terms of your stable as well, what's the update on Florian? Obviously, he won his last fight. He wasn't exactly happy with his own performance, but can you just tell me what the feelings are with him at the moment?
Yeah, look, Florian wasn't happy with his performance, but I think when you put in a performance like that, a lot of other people come out the woodwork and want to take some of Florian's, clout, his recognition, and there's been tons of people piping up say they want to fight him. I like the Tyrone McKenna fight for him. Yeah. I think Tyrone McKenna's a good talker, good boxer. That's a good fight. As regards the rest of the stable, we've got 3 other people on Saturday night. We've got Tommy Fletcher on here, hopefully with another spectacular knockout, and we've got Janae Boston and Sol Dakers on the Matchroom card in Nottingham. And both of them, hopefully 4 knockouts and 4. We can dream.
And also, just a quick one, Lerone Richards, any update on him, mate?
Yeah, talking to 2 promoters at the moment about long-term deals and should have something dropping soon.
Well, thanks for Boxing Social, Adam. We'll catch up soon, mate.